Hi guys, welcome to today's video, and as you can see, it's a Christmas craft. Let's jump in. So for today's video, you are going to need some printable photo paper in either A3 matte or gloss, or if you don't have an A3 printer, A4 works perfectly too. Some Paper Cutz specialist cardstock in your chosen finish, some ribbon. A thinner one of no more than 2mm is perfect. Some scissors and a glue gun. And you're also going to need a printer. I'll be using my Canon IP8750, and I have created the free cutting template for a silhouette cutting machine. This is completely free for you to download, but it is for personal use only. If you do decide to make a design from my bunting, I would love to see, so let me know in the comments down below. So let's head over to open up that design in Silhouette Studio. When you download your file, there will actually be 3 documents. We have the gold bunting, which has been placed on an A4 and is meant to go behind the actual bunting itself. And then I've also designed it in both a green tartan and a red tartan. So you could obviously create these in just either colour, or you could mix and match. It is completely up to you. Now, the red tartan and the green tartan has been set up on an A3. If you only have an A4 printer or the A4 Paper Cutz cardstock, then you could just resize this by going up to the page setup. All of these are ungrouped, so you would just need to play around and fill your page with them. But today I'm going to use the A3. So I'm going to actually create a mix of red and green, as I feel that's lovely and festive. And I've decided I'm going to go for every other colour is going to be either red or green. And so we are going to go through and just delete out the colours we don't need. And I'm going to go over to the red tartan and bring those in instead. If you hold down the shift key, then you can select multiples. And then we're going to copy and paste over. Although I've set this up on A3, you can see that it's not quite big enough to fit on all of these letters, which is why we have these 3 over here, which we're going to print after. So we're going up to File and then Print. And if you select the printer, I'm obviously going to be using my Canon IP8750. And if you press Preferences, you'll get a few more options. We're going for photo printing, but it's really important that you turn off borderless as we are printing and cutting. I'm going to keep this on glossy too, but I'm going to change this to A3, and the quality needs to be high, and we're ready to print. So now that I've finished printing off all of these letters, I just have these 3 remaining, and obviously I don't want to use an A3 sheet as it would be quite the waste. So I'm going to show you how to set up your design space for A4. So I've moved that over. We're going to head over to page setup, and then I'm going to select the media size as A4. It's really important that your print and cut registration marks are still on. So obviously, if for any reason those have turned off, make sure they're back on. And we're then just going to move these letters over, and exactly the same with the printer as we did before. But obviously the only difference this time is going to be that we are setting this to A4 instead. And there we go. We now have our printed bunting ready to be cut out on the Silhouette Cameo, and if everything has set up correctly, you should have the letters are going to cut out now. Now it's really important that this is stuck down firmly to your mat, because we need to make sure that these inner parts of the letter, such as the A and the R, don't ping off, because we need to use these to stick down on our final pieces. Now it's obviously going to depend on your cutting machine for your settings, but for the 300 GSM cardstock, I usually find a blade depth of 3 with a force of 29, overcut on, and because this has got some curved pieces, we are going to stick with a speed of 4. So let's get that into the cutting machine and cut out. Now that we have all of our text, it is time to decide what colour we would like to use for our surround. And Paper Cutz have got so many amazing different specialist finishes, such as glitter, metallic holographic. Those look quite nice on this gold shimmer rainbow one. And they've even got these lovely shards. So that looks very nice. The text really kind of pops on that one. Or maybe you'd like to go for this lovely silver rainbow. There are so many different options. I am going to drop links to the different categories on Paper Cutz so you can have a look for yourself. And once you have chosen, you just need to load that all into the cutting machine and start cutting. For glitter cardstock, it's usually a good idea to go for a blade depth of 4, force 33, and we're going to slow it down to a speed of 4, and we're going to do 2 passes for this one. As always, you may need to change based on your cutting machine. A few quick tips for you when it comes to cutting the glitter stock. I actually have a separate blade, obviously marked there with a G, and that's because glitter can really dull your blade down. I'm not sure if you can see there. It's covered in glitter, and obviously you don't want to wreck your normal detailed cardstock blade, which is why I usually have at least 2. I also have a separate one for vinyl, but we're not cutting vinyl today. Another tip, now you saw me cutting these from A4 and you can get 4 on a sheet. Paper Cutz is actually one of the only companies that I have come across that offer their low shed glitter cardstock in larger sizes like A3. That means you should be able to get 8 or possibly even 9 on a sheet, which is obviously fantastic and definitely something that I would recommend. I've only used A4 today as that's what I had. So now we are on to assembly. Now I'm going to be using a glue gun today because it is quick and dries quickly and is a nice and secure finish once everything is assembled. Now, if you remember, I told you that you needed to make sure that you kept hold of the little center of any letters like the R here. So we are going to start by moving that carefully to the side. We are then going to get our backing flag and we are going to position the tartan letter just in the middle so that we can see roughly where it needs to go. Now, because we have the 2 little circle punch outs here at the top, it means that we know this obviously has to go just below it and it helps with lining everything up. We're then going to apply some hot glue just on the edges. You don't need to go mad. And we are then going to apply that down. The good thing about hot glue is that you have a couple of seconds to manipulate it to make sure you're fully happy before it cures. Now for the center of your letters, I highly recommend using a pair of tweezers because it can get a little bit fiddly and obviously the glue is hot, so we do not want to risk burning ourselves. So again, just a little dab. We're then going to align that nicely in the middle and firmly press it down. So there we go, 1 letter down, 13 to go. So my letters are all assembled and I think the gloss looks really good with this glitter here. It just means that everything is nice and shiny. If you'd like a contrast, you could obviously use the matte prints just as well as the gloss. So it really is up to you. So now it's time to actually assemble our bunting, and I have got the choice of either this lovely red and white candy stripe butcher's twine, metallic gold, or this satiny red. So I am really stuck as to what one I should choose. I do like the candy stripe, but the gold and red go quite well as with the glitter and the gloss. This is a tough one. I think I'm actually going to go for the butcher's twine, just because I love candy canes. So we are going to start assembling. Now, if you are a long-term viewer, you may remember that last year I actually made a Happy New Year bunting. We're going to assemble this in a similar way. So I am not going to cut this off. Instead, I'm going to pull a load from the spool, and this is going to be a double layered, or double tiered, I should say, bunting. So we are going to start with the letter M. And the way we need to thread it is we go in through the front, pull it round, and then from the back to the front on the other side. And to make my life easier, as a knitter, I have these tapestry needles which are used for basically sewing in the ends of your work. I'm going to pop this on here because it's just going to put everything through a lot easier. And we're then going to pull this M through. So we've got a nice lot of string to work with. And then obviously we're going to go for the E, the R, and Y. And then we should have the top one done. So there we go. We now have our bunting all strung up, and it is time to tie it off. I would always advise cutting off more than you think you're going to need, because it just means that you can easily adjust. And we are going to create just a loop with a knot in the end. It is very basic. And we're going to do this on both ends, and then we're going to string the Christmas part together in exactly the same way. Ta-da! How cute does this look? Now, obviously, I've left the really long tails on the ends here because, as lovely as this is in my workroom, I really love the traditional colours, and it is probably going to end up being taken into the main house because it's just too lovely to keep out here, and I want to be able to see it all the time. So obviously I have gone for the classic red, gold and green because not only because it's definitely trending this year for Christmas 2025, but because it's my favourite combination, and I really love the tartan. I think it is a timeless elegance and something that I definitely want to incorporate more into my Christmas decor. Now, in the Chibi house, we are all about sustainability, and I know that obviously you could purchase this for a fraction of the cost that it is to actually make it yourself. But the biggest difference is once you have the cut file, you can easily make repairs. This can be carefully taken down year on year and stored away with your other decorations. And if when you get it out, you find that something is a little bit worn or damaged, you just need to print off and cut out just that single letter. So instead of having to buy a new one each year, you can use this time and time again, which makes it so much better for the environment. You can obviously also customize it. So if you are going for a completely all red theme next year, then you could just print out the red, and the same for the green. If you don't like the gold, there are so many different Paper Cutz options that you can just switch out to make it completely bespoke and matching your own decor. Now that I have shown you how this has been made and you have the bases of the template itself, there is nothing to stop you making your own bunting, not just for Christmas, but for any celebration that you would like. The method is obviously very similar. You would just need to release the compound path on those letters and then just add in your own letter and your own font. It really is that easy. And the good thing about using Paper Cutz is that obviously you are not just stuck with using their glitter cardstock. As I showed you earlier, they have got so many different specialist finishes available. As usual, I'm going to drop links for all of that in the description box down below. And as previously mentioned, most of those are available in A3 sheets too. Now, if you don't want to have this up as a bunting, it would be really cute if you miniaturized it down and then you could actually use it for things like cupcake toppers. Imagine having one of these on every single cupcake, making 14 of them and having Merry Christmas spelt out. Or you could shrink it down even further and string it along to straws, and you have got the perfect cake topper, which will definitely add a little bit of festive sparkle to your celebrations. I think that I'm tempted to do that myself, as I always make Christmas cakes from scratch for myself and a few extended family members, and I'm always looking for new and interesting ways to decorate it, and this would be perfect. The cut template can be sized to any size, so you could go even bigger if you wanted. It is completely down to you. Now, as always, if you have any comments or questions on the craft, please drop them in the description box down below and I will be sure to get back to you. Links for everything that I've used can also be found down there too. A huge thank you to Paper Cutz for not only sponsoring today's video, but for supplying me with the fantastic materials that have enabled me to start with our Christmas decorating at the Chibi Chi household. Just look at that glittery shine, it really is magical. If you need anything cut in a non-standard size, such as A4, A3, etc., drop them a line because they have a custom cutting service. You can either telephone or email. Their contact details are all on their website, and they really are a lovely team who will be sure to be able to help you. If you've enjoyed today's video, please hit the like button. It really does help the channel to grow, as YouTube will see that you are coming back and enjoying the content. Share it with all of your crafty friends, and I can't wait to see you next week when it will be officially December and we can get started with all of those Christmas gifting. Bye!